Okie dokie. What do we have here? We have the intro music.
Yeah, buddy.
We have a Mr. One and Only Mike Snow in the house. What's up, my man?
I'm going good, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing fandango. We just came back from climbing. We were indoor climbing. What was the name of the place?
Oakwood.
Oakwood. Sounds like awkward.
It's a little bit. It's always awkward with you, man.
Oh no! Why would you say that? I was just all I said like, oh my god, look at my boyfriend. He's just so strong. What's wrong with that?
So many lies. I'm not strong.
That was the only lie.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I am so glad to have Mike at my super duper shed studio. Yeah, so we know each other for too long, probably longer than Mike would like that. And we met, wow, when we met? 7 years ago?
2016.
2016.
Nah,
You
not quite 7 years ago.
Exactly
But
precise.
when I first came over to London it was just a 5-week trip to sort of dip my toe in the water, suss out London, and if I wanted to sort of actually move here and start the whole stunt thing from scratch in a new country. And,
Yeah.
I met you and somehow I wasn't persuaded to not have a go.
We met each other. It was Nandaline was there.
There was a bunch of Aussie stunt chicks here.
Yeah, stunt
Nando,
chicks.
Inga, and Brittany. And Natalie invited you out, and you were just a riot as usual.
I don't know what I'm usually quite, outspoken and stuff, but that night I was like off the chain. I don't know why. And
Yeah, you're on another
Mikey was just like, who the fuck is this guy? And look at this, 5 years later, and we're the best buds like ever. Okay, let's talk some serious shit. Let's talk serious business. Give me a little intro about where you're from, who are you, and how the fuck did you end up here in UK now?
So I grew up in Melbourne, and I got into stunts after a background of gymnastics and parkour. I got my Aussie stunt grading when I was 18 and started working mainly in Melbourne and Sydney, bouncing around a little bit over there. And then a friend of mine suggested that I have a crack at the UK in 2016. And then, I came over, as I just mentioned, with that little 5-week trip. And then decided to properly base myself in London. And I still bounced backwards and forwards a little bit for like 2017 and 18. I was kind of like 50-50 Australia, London. And now I'm like very solidly based here. And I kind of only duck back into Oz for like 2 to 3 months at a time. Pretty much when I'm doing Ninja Warrior, I kind of like let Aussie Ninja Warrior dictate when I go to Australia. And then
I don't know, he just like kind of flew through all of them so quick. No. Let's go back.
Do a deep dive.
Where was your school, your high school, your elementary school? Where did you grow up?
What?
I want to go all the way
Going
back.
to school?
Melbourne. Oh yeah. They found you in a bush, didn't they? It's like, look at that crazy ginger guy.
I don't think so.
Let's domesticate him.
No, I grew up a very sort of normal suburban life, a little bit out of the city, not like out in the country, just Aussie suburbs. And school was pretty normal. My high school was very creative, very focused on like the arts. So I got right into music for a little bit. I wanted to be a rock star, and then
What happened with that? I mean, I know that you're a huge fan of, especially live music. Like this guy, the amount of time he talks about, I want to go to this live music concert, that live music concert. Well, first of all, he's 2 heads taller than I am. I hate those shows because people literally get their armpits in my face and I don't see anything. Smo is all about going to those kind of rock concerts. And obviously
I'll go anywhere for a concert, man. I've got tickets. If travel is on, I've got tickets to Florida to go and see one of my favorite bands ever, Mudvayne, who I've never seen live. They've been on hiatus for like almost 12 years.
Sick.
So they're doing a show in Florida, and I was just like, boom, bought a festival ticket.
This guy.
But I've seen like Slipknot in France and Rammstein in Poland.
So you're a huge fan of rock bands in general.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but what happened then with you and your story that So did you try to get into music? Is like, did you play an instrument?
Once I got onto the sort of parkour and stunt path, that just completely
What age was
took
that?
over. I started parkour when I was 15, and then I started stunt training when I was 17. And
Right.
Yeah, music kind of like fell into the background, and
And you were just a fan of music instead of actually trying to do your own music, like playing.
yeah, no, for a while I was like proper set on just doing music, and then I sort of not fell into film and TV, but sort of met people who were doing it and was just like, oh,
Did you play an instrument? I never heard that you.
Yeah, bass.
You played bass.
Yeah.
I know you for 5 years. You never told me about that. We never had a chat.
Really?
This is why I'm doing podcasts, because I can get all that super cool information. Smo used to do a bass. The guy who everyone knows is a Ninja Warrior and
No, I still
stunt
play.
guy.
I bought an electric bass, 5-string.
You have it in your place here in London.
Yeah. I've been like learning Tool and Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Did you know that I used to play in a band?
No, what'd you do?
I played rhythm.
What, percussion, drums?
No, rhythm guitar. Rhythm guitar.
Right.
Yeah, and I used to write my own music. I used to play in a band.
Any particular reason rhythm guitar over lead guitar, or just calling it just guitar in general?
It was guitar in general, because in the age of 14, 15, I realized if you can play guitar, you can get some chicas. And I remember I was proper jock or whatever they call them, the sporty guy. So I did all the sports and whatever. And my sister, she went to musical school. And I said to my mom, like, why don't you even offer me to go? Like, she didn't even consider that I would be good at it.
Yeah.
And she's like, look at you just play your football. You don't give a fuck about music. And I was like, no. Like, since that's where I realized I'm very stubborn. So I was like, I'm going to go to musical school. And I lasted one day because I realized it's so boring.
Yeah,
but
right.
then at the age of 14, 15, when I saw that if you play guitar, the girls looking at you very differently, then I had a big motivation to do that shit.
Yeah.
So, and I self-taught, and 3-4 years later, me and my buddies, we started playing and performing and stuff. And,
Yeah, man.
and then I started writing my own music. Yeah. That didn't
sick.
last very long, but yeah, it was fun.
No,
So-
it's sick, man. I used to
so
love
Next thing we
playing
need
on
to do is
stage.
like, I'm going to play rhythm, you can play bass. Sick, dude.
Yeah, buddy.
There you go. Okay, nice, lovely. You see, that's why I'm doing this. Finding out this information. This is awesome. Okay, and then you start doing free running of age of, you said 13, 14?
15.
15, that you
Yeah.
get into that, and gymnastics was on the way as well, kind of mixed in.
Yeah, gymnastics when I was 10 to 15.
Oh, so before that. So you already had a pretty good understanding about movement and...
Yeah, like I didn't get to a high level of gymnastics, but, like enough that it gave me a really good foundation for everything that would come after.
Nice. Okay.
Especially all this silly obstacle stuff.
Yeah, and free running, so we had this chat already before. What was the main reason you got into free running?
So my very first exposure to parkour was, through gymnastics I got into breakdancing.
Oh, right.
And at a breakdancing competition, the guys who I would later train parkour with and then teach it with and then do like parkour shows and stuff, they did a show. Firstly, they played a video that they'd made. And oh god, going to that old school video, eh? So they did a show. They played their video that they just made, and then like it opens with my best mate Chipper climbing like an 8-story building, and just that blew my mind in itself. And then the rest of the video was sick. And then they came out and did a show on the architecture of the venue and a purpose-built scaffold that they put up. And I didn't know it was a thing, and then. Yeah, I thought they were just bloody awesome. And then I came across them on the internet, saw that they were running classes, started doing classes, became good mates with them, started training all the time with these dudes. And then, they helped me get into stunts.
You got hooked.
Yeah,
and also,
big time.
I presume it's a community as well. Like people were,
massive.
so cool. And I know. I mean, I haven't done much of a free running. I've done a little bit with you. And whenever you hang out with the free runners, they have their certain type of the mentality, and I love that kind of a support as well, where they give to each other. It's like, let's try to push yourself, try to get that move, try to.
Yeah, it's mad. There's nothing else really like the parkour community. Like, if you've got connections in parkour that can just sort of put you onto more people when you go traveling. Like you can travel the world and stay on people's couches. It's unreal. Like like Kyle Fremantle, one of the stunties who's over here now, he's from Gold Coast. Literally, I met him in the Gold Coast going to do like the audition for Pirates of the Caribbean 5, and I was asking dudes I knew in Queensland, I was like, oh, do you mind if I stay with you in the Gold Coast while I come and do this audition? And the guys I asked I couldn't with at the time, but they're like, oh, message Kyle. He's a mad free runner and he's getting into stunts. I'm like, all right, sick. Message him and he's just like, yeah, dude, come and stay. Like, it's so easy to go and do that when you're like properly in the parkour community and people know you to not be a ding dong. They're just like, yeah, like come and crash with us. Like, it's sick, dude. And yeah, that goes like all the way around the world. Like, you just train with people. Sometimes you don't even speak the same language as them, but you just go and train with them and stay with them. Like, I've had dudes stay at my house in Melbourne who can barely speak English, but they know people who know me and they get put together and then we train and it's sick.
Yeah, no. Even though I'm not so much in the free running community, when I went from Cairo in Egypt to Indonesia last year, I made some friends there in Egypt, these Egyptian stunt guys, so became pretty good pals. And this one Egyptian stunt guy said, like, listen, I have an amazing dude who lives in Jakarta in Indonesia, and I could get you guys in touch and he can show you around or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I met this guy, and he's a free runner. So for him, then we went to different cities together, whatever. Everywhere he goes, like free running guys, and they know each other. His name is Ehab, Egyptian dude, and he's like just nuts, different level, and we just had a good time and good laugh. And and then from there, like he knew some people, and then he knew a free runner in Bali. So the first contact with anyone in Bali was with Fabiano, that's his name, in Bali, and he's an amazing free runner. Now just got sponsored by Adidas, and it's a really big deal there. You're totally right. The community is sick. It's just awesome to do it. I remember we had a little chat about that you guys got kind of inspired by some Latvians, I mean the Russian Latvians. Is that the video? Did I open the right video?
Yeah. It's had so many different titles over the year and been re-uploaded all over
that
the shop.
Music, that track.
Yeah, man. This was probably like one of the first early attempts of like creating a sort of artistic
parkour in Russian ninjas, parkour in Latvia.
Video. And look at Oleg. Like, Oleg's a sick athlete. Even back then, he's like 15 at this point, and he's just shredding. And you know, like they created something that went viral way before the term viral video was ever a thing. And it's like, look at him moping around with his like horrendous posture. And then, you know, like the shallowest handstand push-ups in the world ever. But back then people were like, he's doing handstand push-ups on a freaking pillar, man. Like, and you know, like inward front off that pillar. Like, that's still a hard thing
and I like,
to do.
look at this like old school Russian playground, like little setups there.
Yeah.
Like the projects in the back, like from Soviet Union.
There's stuff in this video that people don't really do. Not because like it's insanely difficult, but because it's difficult and it just didn't really catch on. But yeah, man, like there's a lot of stuff now that in this video some of the best free runners in the world wouldn't be able to do if you just ask them to try it instantly. Like, yeah, there's some tricks in here that are kind of out there. Because one thing what I really enjoyed was that that someone from Australia who says that like one of the sickest videos, they come from Latvia and I'm representing this tiny little country. Yeah. No, dude, I used to watch this video every day.
Really?
And like it is, look at it, it is the grainiest thing ever. And it's pretty experimental when you look at what they're doing, really. Like,
yeah. Like a horror film setup or something.
A little bit, yeah. It's
for those who are just listening, this YouTube it Russian ninjas parkour in Latvia, and then you will understand what we're talking about.
And like this dude Oleg, he's still going. He's not doing as like mega high impact stuff now as he was doing back this, because he was chucking some big heavy stuff in this video. And
look at this, just going this. These are the projects, like these buildings were not finished because Soviet Union collapsed. They just didn't finish all of that, and we had so many of those.
I bet heaps of these are still standing. Hey.
Yeah. Well, I think by now they're like getting taken down.
Right.
But yeah, this is insane. This is really cool. I lived in Latvia, you know, till I
Yeah.
was 23, and I never really knew about this. But well, I wasn't in free running, so
Yeah.
this is sick. This is awesome stuff. Cool. Okay, so got into free running, certain inspirations from different places. Oh, tell me, what is the difference between free running and parkour? Is there a difference?
Yeah. Okay. So parkour was really like driven and predominantly developed by a guy called David Bell, and his kind of focus and intention for that discipline was to train for emergency situations where you need to move your body through an environment like directly and fast. So by running, jumping, climbing, vaulting, etc. And
That's for parkour.
yeah, and so like, you know, those things are nothing new. People have been running, jumping, and climbing since forever. So what makes parkour its own thing is the intention of that movement, and also like an attitude or a philosophy that goes with the training, which is to do with being useful to other people, trying to just sort of always progress and become a better version of yourself, and just overcome fear, and, you know, just develop that kind of skill set, and yeah, just try to be altruistic.
I wish
however
the
you can.
general public would know about all of this philosophy
Yeah, but
and all
it's-
these
it's-
concepts. All you can see, general public, just things like these numbnuts are jumping from one building to another, hurt
Yeah.
themselves, jump on sometimes.
But it's a hard thing to like communicate quickly and concisely and make it sound cool to the average person. Like that just sounds, to a lot of people who have never trained anything or never done a martial art or anything like that, that is just like just fluff.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah,
I just
yeah.
said there. Like some people will kind of get it and be like, oh, that's kind of cool, but there's no way to really like communicate that without really like sitting down and being like, okay, so this is kind of what it is. You know, it's so much easier to just show like big jumps and just be like parkour. Like, you know,
What would be,
with people's
so
attention
how would
spans.
you approach, let's say, imagine I'm just your neighbor who sees you in a neighborhood jumping around and whatever, and I don't know much about it. I never heard about it. What would you tell it to me? How
Like
would you explain it to me?
10-second explanation on the street when you kind of just want to get back to training.
No. Just
Like-
give me like 40 seconds.
If that. So like what I might say to a lot of people who stop me when I'm training parkour, they like, if they have no idea what I'm doing, or if they have a vague idea like, oh, is that parkour? Like just say to them like, yeah, I'm doing parkour. They say, what does that mean? What is it? It's a way of training to overcome obstacles in any environment, and you know, we do it to overcome our fears and be useful and be able to help people, or to get away from danger, or get to someone who needs help.
Right. Okay.
And like, you know, if they're like, oh, is it the same as free running? No, free running sort of it was a bit of an offshoot of parkour from some of the same guys who were developing it back in the day, but you know, they were more interested in sort of creatively exploring their environment with some parkour moves, but also incorporating acrobatics and stuff like that. And David Bell, you know, he would sort of do acro and, you know, massive gainers and, you know, all that kind of stuff, and do that in some ads and different jobs and stuff like that. But for him, it was always just like, that's just flips because I like doing flips. And, you know, this is parkour over here, what he focuses on. But then for a documentary that Sebastian Foucan, who's one of the early French dudes, what he was doing, they kind of wanted to have an English word that was more accessible to that audience.
And people struggle with it. How do you pronounce parkour? Parkour? What is
yeah,
this?
like it's not particularly hard to say, but they wanted something just a bit easier. And they kind of came up with the term free running. And then free running kind of became what Seb was more interested in, which was, you know, like the creative movement, and less focusing on, you know, sadistic training of like brutal strength and conditioning, and just, you know, doing like the really direct, efficient.
Seb
kind
is
of
that
stuff.
legendary French dude. Isn't it a black guy who used to come to Beckton, East London? I think I met him and I actually had a chat
Yeah,
with
yeah,
him.
and he did the chase scene in Casino Royale.
Super cool
He's a
dude.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's mad.
He was like is he partly owner of the chain store?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he was involved with that. Here you go. So this is the video. For those who are just listening, you need to see this.
That's just a little baby.
I mean,
isn't
like,
it?
yeah, but at the same time, if I would be just like someone who's, works in an office, I run on a treadmill once in a while and do like some kind of little workout. This is insane. You like jumping from one, staircase to another staircase. If you fall, that's potentially 5 meters fall.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, like compared to what other people are doing, like so this is called like a descent. A lot of people are doing these on like ledges where there's no like thin rails, where like really good handholds and stuff like that, and they're doing them way higher. Like this is really sort of like entry level of descents.
And then this one as well. Like, what the hell? Looks, and also the other thing is like this, what is the name of the just jumping from one side to the other? How do you call it?
Precision or plyo, if you're like linking them plyometrically.
And in like visually, it doesn't look that, crazy, whatever. Try doing it yourself. It is, very impressive. And then Annie, you do a flip and almost run on the road with a bus. It's like, yeah, I would be like, you see, you getting other people in danger. Okay, so irresponsible.
No, he's responsible.
Oh, free running is sick. What else? Do we have any more free running here? You love climbing those ropes, man. I actually had a video which I never posted, and I wanted to tag you.
This is with the boys in Sydney who just sort of mostly calisthenics dudes. This was just before season 6, or like, was it before? Yeah, I think it was just before, and these guys just do rope climbs and play on the bars all the time. But we got a few of the Ninja Warrior guys like Zach Stoltz, who who was one of the 4 finishers and almost won it last year. We went and did a rope session, and I hadn't climbed a rope in ages. I was just out of 2 weeks of quarantine.
I was climbing. I think it's like a Lia or whatever. It's like a route. In Indonesia, I went for a high diving of these cliffs in a muddy water, and I found this like a route going all the way up.
Yeah.
And I did that climb. I have it somewhere, and I wanted to tag you and say like, this is how real men do it. And then you hear 82, so you were really
I
got ready for the competition. Yeah.
At that point, yeah.
Because your normal weight is about 90, right?
Yeah, I generally sort of hang out at around the sort of upper 80s, and then for Ninja I try to drop down super quick so that I feel like I've just taken a weight vest off, because it's super hard for me to stay light. I can't do that all year round. It's horrendous.
You just like the muffins. Oh my god! And this video, this one is
that was just a picture.
It's just a picture. Dude,
that was sick. The video is around there somewhere on the feed.
Yeah, so you were climbing up to the
it's a hot
air balloon.
Yeah,
and then you did the.
Then I just dropped into skydive. Yeah. Oh, dude, that was sick. The video.
Oh, here's your base.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
my 5-string.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've seen it before, but like somehow it didn't register that you actually can play it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. There you go. That's the video. Okay, for those again who can't.
That's just like, that's only a few seconds of that.
What they call the POV.
Yeah.
Yeah, POV.
That was like my little teaser.
There you go. That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this was sick. That's one hell of a way to start the day, is to go and like 6 a.m. go and climb a rope up in the sky.
Oh, with the music and everything.
Yeah, so I had like a little foot loop. I'd been lowered down by my friend Graham, who's a stunt coordinator and a rigger, so he sent me down like a 3-to-1 belay, and then I've got my rig weighs 10 kilos. And then you can see the helicopter that other shot was from. And with no warm-up and 10 kgs on your back, oh my god, that is hard, dude. Like, I couldn't really walk. Like, the hot air balloon basket is so small, there's no room.
And the gravity is much stronger, isn't it? As further you're away from the earth, it's just...
Yeah, and but dude, letting go of that rope, and just for the first few seconds of a helicopter or a balloon jump, you feel absolutely nothing, and you have no reference for your falling apart from like the balloon if you're looking at it. And yeah, man, it's sick, as it's just like you feel nothing, completely weightless, and then that gradual acceleration, like when you jump off a wall and you've got an environment around you, things are moving in your visual periphery. When you're just looking at the sky and the earth and you let go, it's insane, dude.
I can imagine. How long it took you to arrange that? Was that the plan for a couple of years already before you did it, or?
Me and my friend Ozzy, who helped facilitate that and sort of like link me up with the helicopter pilots and sort of get the jump legit and all that kind of stuff. He and I started floating that idea around kind of 2 years before we did it. And then, I was back in Oz and I was like, dude, we got to do this. Let's hit it, man. Otherwise,
and this was in Australia. What city was this?
Yeah, that was a little bit out of Melbourne. And, you know, the thing with helicopter jumps, well, no, more so with balloon jumps. Obviously, like with a helicopter, you can steer it to wherever you want. With balloons, there's no directional control on them, so you're kind of at the mercy of the wind. So those guys are super experienced with understanding what the wind is doing, and they have instruments and gauges for knowing what the wind is doing at different heights. So if they want to steer themselves towards a certain point, then they'll use different heights, different altitudes to sort of ride this bit of wind that way, go up, ride this bit of wind that way to get vaguely where they want.
Yeah, obviously, because you need to get to the drop zone. You can't just fucking land anywhere you want.
If the wind is only really going one way, well, then you're going that way.
Then you land in someone's garden.
Yeah, pretty much. But where we went, we knew that there was just, you know, massive open fields. So all you really need to do safety-wise is just try to land into wind, and so you don't have like a hectic downwinder landing, which would just be super fast. And, you know, just look out for power lines and roads.
It's dangerous to get into Mike's Instagram because are you just so easy to get off the track of things what we were talking about. We started with free running and all of a sudden it gets into skydiving.
Skydiving's sick.
Also, free running, we kind of, you know, I think probably covered like the main stuff, basic stuff. There's so many things to cover still. There's Ninja Warriors, there's Stunts. Let's talk about then skydiving a little bit. So you were probably one of the inspirations why I got in skydiving. So I've done almost 100 jumps in Spain and Madrid. And I think when I started doing jump like 30th, 40th, that's where you just kind of start realizing how cool it is. And
the first like 20 or 30 jumps kind of suck because you're always getting assessed and you're really limited by the weather, and you spend a lot of time waiting. As soon as it gets a bit windy, like, you know, the A licenses are all just cut from jumping.
Yeah, for those who don't know about skydiving much, so there's 3 or 4 different licenses, A, B, C, D. I think do I have a D now? I think so. I'm not sure. A,
there
B,
is
C.
E license, but most people don't really need to go above D license.
Yeah.
D license kind of.
So every license basically gives you different. You have so different amount of jumps, and then you're allowed to jump in certain circumstances in certain weather. So
or like start doing different courses.
Yeah. I think the most fun I started having when I would be jumping with other people, and you come up with different ideas what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
So 2 guys jump out first, and then you chase them, and then you do the togging together, and it's insane. I really started enjoying it.
Yeah, once you got your B license and you're approved to jump with, you know, like small groups of your mates, that's when you start having fun.
That's what they call it, fun jumps.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you get into skydiving? What happened?
I just always wanted to do it. And pretty much, I worked like full time on a show, King Kong the musical, in Melbourne. And then after that show, I was just like, all right, I'm going to get my rigging ticket. I'm going to start getting my scuba stuff sorted out. So I did my open water, and I was like, I'm going to get my A license for skydiving. And some other tickets, and just kind of went and just kind of upskilled straight after that show once I'd sort of had the money and the time to go and just do a bunch of things. And then, I don't jump anywhere near as much as I'd like to.
How many jumps do you have at the moment?
415, which to anyone who doesn't skydive, they're like, oh, that's so many. But, you know, like there are dudes out there with 20,000 jumps.
Whoever doesn't skydive, they sound like that. Oh, it's so many.
Yeah, that's exactly how they sound.
That's how they sound. And I know, before you continue...
But it's like, if you've been doing yoga for 10 years and you do a class every week, like you've done hundreds more yoga classes than me. So like it's all relative. You know? It's like you can do 10 skydives in a day if the weather's good and there's, you know, the people there to jump with. You can do more if there's like 2 planes and you've got 2 rigs. Like 400 is not a lot.
2 rigs, and by rig he means if you have a canopy or parachute or whatever.
Yeah, like a complete parachute system.
Yeah, but this is the thing, like so many people do 1 or 2 tandem jumps and they say, yeah, I'll do skydiving. And you're like, what?
You have skydived.
Yeah, you have skydived and you did not skydive. You were just attached to someone's front and you were doing nothing. And this is one of the most boring things ever. And then usually when I talk to girls about this, they get all offended. Like, oh, no, it was just like, it takes so much courage to do it. But, yeah, so we're going to finish the first segment right now. And, yeah, skydiving, anyone who wants to get in skydiving, it's amazing. It's quite expensive, though, to do it.
It's super expensive to start, to do your courses and get all your gear. And, but, you know, like, depending on how much you want to spend, you know, like a secondhand rig can be quite a lot cheaper than a brand new rig. And a lot of people are like, oh, I wouldn't jump a secondhand rig, like people who haven't jumped before. And it's like, well, if someone's done 1,000 jumps on their rig, like they're jumping a rig that's done 1,000 jumps.
Yeah,
like
and the average
like
rig,
a car. It's like
average rig, like in a good what do you say? Good condition, yes. Cost about like 5,000, 6,000 pounds.
If you're gonna get like a really good rig, all like brand new, 2 canopies, your AAD, which, you know, fires your reserve if you're still falling at a low altitude, if you're like unconscious or whatever. Yeah, something around that mark. But yeah, like you can get one way cheaper than that. And it's like a car, you know, like a car gets a MOT or a roadworthy check or stuff like that. When you sell a rig, you get a rigger who's licensed to inspect rigs and repack them and make adjustments and change components on the equipment. They verify it that it's all in working order. So
yeah. Then it's okay, cool. Let's go to the next. Then with the little music, are we going? We are back. Yay!
Hey,
we're back. Before we stop talking about skydiving, I wanted to talk about base jumping. You kind of mentioned earlier today while we were doing some climbing and before that you are thinking in getting in base jumping. For those who don't know what base jumping is, usually the practice is that you need to have at least 200 skydive jumps, and then you start jumping off bridges, of high buildings and all that kind of stuff. And base jumping, why does it call base jumping, by the way?
That's an acronym. So bridges, antennas, spans, earth. So spans would typically be the
base is like basically something what holds.
B is for buildings.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I was about to double up there. Yeah, no. So buildings, antennas, spans, and earth. So yeah, any like static fixed thing that you can jump off. Pretty much.
It's a base jumping, and so also that's the practice 200 jumps. But I heard and I've talked to some people do it without 200 jumps, which is crazy dangerous. Nutty. And also there are different ways to do base jump, whether someone is holding, what was the name of the little thingy, what is outside the...
pilot chute.
Yeah, so the pilot
chute assist, where someone holds your pilot chute so that your canopy extracts at the highest sort of possible point, which is kind of the same as doing a static line, where static line can be sort of independent, like you tie something that breaks to a fixed object, like a handrail or something. PCA, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just people grabbing.
There you go. Look, these guys are jumping out of the cliff.
That looks sick, man.
That looks insane.
Like, that looks beautiful, but yeah, personally, I'm not super keen on doing lowish base jumps like that.
And like cliffs around as well. If the wind blows you and you just kind of smash.
More like if you have a 180 opening, which like eventually you do enough jumps, like people do end up having 180 openings, and yeah, it's like getting smashed back into some rocks.
180 opening, is that when you do like a flip and then pull? Or?
No, so when your canopy opens, it can open backwards, and then you unwind to the way your canopy is facing, and you get flown back into what you've just jumped off. Which is obviously like pretty suboptimal if that's
and
like
that is what
cliff.
Mike is considering doing, and he said like, oh, it's quite difficult to be in a relationship if you could die anytime. And that's what they say about base jumpers. There's no young base jumpers. There's a saying, because the death rate is so high.
You mean old base jumpers?
There's no old base jumpers. Sorry, yeah. There's only young base jumpers.
Yeah. I mean, either people die or like obviously it's like some people get out before the game gets them, but Yeah, depending on the type of base jumping you're doing, like some are a lot safer than others, and like any activity is kind of as dangerous as you make it. But yeah, base jumping definitely has like a pretty high death rate compared to a lot of sports.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like, again, can be just assumed by general public, not enough information. When I did skydiving in Madrid, I met this really, really smart dude from Germany who's been pilot for years. He's flying these big-ass planes, and he is doing skydives, like, I don't know, like 1,000 skydives, whatever. And then he's been doing base jumping for years now.
Yeah.
And when I said to him, like, so, but what about, are you not afraid? Like, so many people die. And he's like, they die because they fuck it up. Because they mess up things. They're in a hurry. They, like, not paying attention to weather. They just want to jump. They just, you know, it's a big difference between adrenaline junkie and someone who is analyzed and wants to have this cool experience.
Yeah.
So if you do it properly and you follow the steps of this safety.
Yeah, there's always ways to massively reduce the risks and likelihood of anything going wrong. So yeah, like that's why I say it's kind of as dangerous as you make it, but then like with anything, things can just go wrong for no particular reason.
Yeah, I think is this statistically is more dangerous to ride a motorbike on the road than to do a skydiving? I think someone told me that.
Oh yeah, people who say that, oh no, it's too dangerous, I would never skydive. But it's like, you drive a car, dude. Yeah. Like, you're probably more likely to die driving than you ever are skydiving.
Yeah, there you go. And now safety is so much 100%. Higher. And you also mentioned before that there's what was the name of that system? Cypress system, where if in some case
AAD, automatic activation
device. If you fail, and they two of the main ones, one was Cypress, another one was
Cypress is one of the main brands. Yeah. But pretty much so if that little computer in your rig detects that you're still falling at a low altitude, then your reserve canopy will literally, it's spring loaded, it'll explode out, and then even if you're unconscious, you'll be under canopy on a sort of like half brake setting instead of like toggles out.
It's going to shoot whether you want it or not, honey. Yeah. That's what's going to happen. Look at this guy. Look at him falling in. Oh, that looks sick.
That looks fucking awesome.
That looks fucking awesome. I have a video with me doing skydiving.
Like, you would want to know what is so well what your surroundings are, and
in this case,
how like the depth of those clouds and what you can get away with canopy wise. Like, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be doing that if there wasn't a lot of space.
That's insane.
And they'd probably done that jump before, but
yeah, it looks really, really cool. Okay, skydiving, base jumping. And when do you think you're going to do your first base jump, and how do you want to do it? What would you jump off?
So there are dudes who run courses in America, and part of their course actually goes to Europe. I'm not sure what the deal is now with restricted travel, but usually that's kind of how they run it. They sort of do a lot of bridge jumps in America. There's one bridge in America, I'm pretty sure, where you're allowed to legally base jump. So they run a lot of courses there, and then they go and do some tracking jumps. So a tracking suit is kind of like a wingsuit, one of those.
Here you go. I'm showing right now in the video.
Yeah, what's this dude flying? Yeah, he's running a little wingsuit. So a wingsuit gives you some glide ratio that you can't otherwise get, but you're kind of in a bit of a straitjacket. It's not totally ideal if you have a malfunction and you need to start grabbing stuff above your head. Like, you can do it, and there's big zips on the arms.
Yeah, but it takes time to get out of it. So that's something what you haven't done, have you?
I haven't flown a wingsuit. No, I've got a tracking suit. So tracking suit gives you extra surface area, and it inflates like a wingsuit. To give you some glide ratio, just not as good as, well, it depends on, there are some big tracking suits now that kind of, the glide ratios match a small wingsuit.
Yeah, I had a friend,
fly it well.
My mate did wingsuits over pyramids in Egypt.
Oh man!
During the new Christmas.
That's sick.
He comes to Arch. There's a place where we climb the Arch in London.
Yeah.
And his name is Mike. Big shout out to my dude Mike. He's a proper nerd, like, the skydivers nerds who just like know everything and all the best places where they come together and all the stuff. What he does by day is programming, and by night he skydives. And and he showed me the video, and he had this 360 camera, and it just looks insane.
I don't like those 360 cameras. Oh man, some of the people who are flying them just go too crazy with like the perspective, and it just looks, I don't know, to me it looks silly. But what I was going to say with base jumping, yeah, like the only base jumps I'm really sort of like drawn to and want to do are like big wall, decent free fall, track the hell away from what you've jumped off and enjoy the flying time instead of like jump, pitch, 7-second canopy ride, land. Like that's not worth it for me.
Yeah.
So there's a 4,000 foot wall in Norway in a place called Sherag, and that place is just stunning.
What part of Norway is that?
I don't know.
Or you just know the place and that's it?
It's just, yeah, like the actual wall or that area is called Sherag. That's like KJERAG or something like that. And yeah, man, it's one of the best base jumping spots in the world. It's awesome. And yeah, man, like I know I can kind of take up base jumping, go and do some jumps like that, and then kind of just put it to bed. A lot of people get very addicted to base jumping and then just kind of it takes over, and then they start like jumping off stuff that's like lower and lower and like ultimately like higher and higher risk, and
then eventually they just don't need canopy anymore. I jump off the house.
Yeah, I'm not about that life at all. I just
go.
kind of I want to do some big walls, fly the shit out of my tracking suit, and yeah, kind of just put it to bed and then crack on with everything else. I might change my mind, I don't know, but that's kind of the way I imagine it. I know some guys who've kind of done that, but most people get kind of suckered in and then just want to like just do nothing but base jump, which is fair enough. I imagine flying off cliffs feels pretty awesome.
Out of did you say 400 jumps?
Yeah.
You've done. Out of 400 jumps, did you had any fun situations?
No, I've never had any like anything particularly hectic happen. I've never had a cutaway, which is where you have a malfunction that you need to deal with by getting rid of your main and deploying your reserve.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, like you have two canopies, always two canopies, two parachutes. Americans say parachutes, Brits say canopies. So what do Aussies say?
Yeah, canopies.
Canopy as well, yeah. That's the British influence right there. And yeah, so if it's, let's say it's ripped or it's really entangled and you can't get out, so you do the cutaway. So there's a special setup on your rig or on your, how else you can call it? Rig equipment, rig. Yeah.
Your container is like, yeah, kind of like the backpack, like portion.
Yeah, and there's a special, I haven't skydived for it.
Yeah,
just
like handles,
yeah. And you just do the cutaway, and then automatically the other one shoots out, right? Because the ADD gets activated, right?
No, depending on your altitude.
Is it ADD?
AAD. If you've got ADD, I've got an AAD.
I just would love that some of my mates from skydiving, they would watch this and they were like, "Oh my god, Renars, just
listen to these noobs." Yeah, no. If you have a cutaway at a high enough altitude, I think most AADs activate somewhere between 700 and 900 foot. Kind of, it varies. I think they can be set differently, but that's generally about where they activate. So you don't have a long canopy ride. Assuming you have a good opening, then yeah, you won't be under canopy for a particularly long time. But if you cut away higher, then yeah, your AAD shouldn't be activating.
Oh, it wouldn't activate, so it will still wait you till you go lower. It doesn't go out straight away when you do the cutaway.
So your AAD it only
activates only when you get the certain altitude.
If you're free falling at a certain speed, then yeah, at a certain altitude, it'll go, this is a problem, and it'll activate.
Okay. But I thought when you do the cutaway, it shoots out straight away, no?
The AAD has nothing to do with a cutaway above a certain height.
But would it activate to get the canopy out?
No.
No, it wouldn't.
No.
Because I thought that's what it triggers when you do the cutaway. Triggers.
No. The handles, it's all just like physical, mechanical stuff.
So basically, you would do cutaway, and then you would still do free fall till ADD.
No, you cut away with one handle, and then you deploy the reserve.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. So you deploy. Yeah, I already forgot all of that.
Yeah, no, the AAD is literally just there as like an absolute last resort.
Last resort.
Yeah. pretty much.
Well,
if you're
anyone who wants to
unconscious.
get into skydiving, there's a lot of fun. Yeah. For me, I think
Good
out of
safety and technology.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. For
out
real.
of 90 jumps what I've done, I think only one time I had crossed lines,
Twisted lines,
just
yeah.
twisted lines, and I just the easy
Yeah,
peasy
the
opened
best
them.
like
That's
the
it.
best solving I've seen of some hectic twisted lines was a dude kind of like inverted himself in his harness and then got his feet and like walked them like that along the lines to untwist himself.
Oh wow!
Because otherwise the main way people do it is by pulling them, but if
Yeah.
they're super
Yeah.
twisted, like that's really hard. You have to kind of like wrench your whole body
Yeah,
around
yeah,
and
yeah.
bicycle your legs.
So how did he do it
And
again?
he just kind of like pulled on his risers, which are the straps that connect to the lines, which
Yeah.
connect to your canopy. And then he just kind of got his legs up, and then he just walked his feet on the lines to kind of like untwist,
Oh
which is
wow!
pretty cool.
And it's quite insane to see guys deploy or open right next to you. That's when we went through the course.
Yeah, that
of,
is not ideal
it's
at all.
It's not fun, but we would do the hop and pop, and we did the hop and pop course, and so like 5 or 6 of us would jump quite quick next to each other,
Yeah.
and then so whether some of us were in a free fall, they were fucking up something or whatever was happening. But I remember as I just opened my canopy and I just see the guy next to me, you can see him falling and just opening and it just feels so
Yeah.
creepy. It's like
Yeah,
if you
man.
would be like, I don't know, 30, 40 meters closer, you just land on my head.
I've seen some low cutaways as well, where you're like under canopy and you're kind of coming in
insane.
for like your final approach or whatever, or like you've started your circuit, your landing pattern to come in and touch down. There's kind of like road rules, but in the air for
Yeah.
so that people don't have collisions. And yeah, you're like getting pretty low and you're getting ready to land, and then you just kind of like see someone like just get a reserve out, and you're like, oh my god, like
Yeah, that is quite insane. Okay, cool. Skydiving. That's it. No more skydiving. Next, what I want to talk about is stunts
right.
or
Love
ninja
stunts.
or Ninja Warrior. Which one you want?
Let's go stunts.
Let's go stunts. Let's do stunts. And we talking about stunts. Yes.
Hey.
Yeah, stunt performers don't get much of applause because we are usually just in the shadows doing our crafts and go and fight, and we don't get Oscars and shit.
Not yet.
We
It'll happen.
We get Taurus Award for the best stunt. Okay, how did you decide that you want to be a stunt man?
Just listening to the stories of what dudes were getting up to on set from the guys who I was training parkour with. So they were already doing stunts for a couple of years by the time I started parkour and hanging out with them. And then, they sort of hooked me up with some training under a stunt coordinator in Melbourne. And Australia has a similar kind of grading process for performers to the UK, where you go and do some disciplines and then you put an application into a committee and then they vote on whether to grade you or not. I did that and then just started getting gigs and getting put in touch with different coordinators and auditions and stuff like that.
So did you already get some jobs before you even qualified? Before you get on the... Because in Australia they have also... What do they call it? Australian Stunt Register?
No, it's not really called the register. Like, it's effectively kind of that. Like, structurally it works very similar to the UK. That was on...
This is 2017. You have something better now out there.
No. So I'm in that classic boat of I want to put out a new stunt reel, but I'm waiting for certain things to get released before I put it out, and then it comes out and it's like barely usable. Like, this fighting's crap. Like it's not horrendous, but I definitely want to update it a bit.
What are you talking about? It's beautiful.
You are. I like that.
Yeah,
That was
that's
a cool
pretty cool.
stunt that kip up onto my face.
Yeah, for those who are listening, we are watching Mike Snow's show reel for... Oh, look at him
And
doing a
I
breakdance.
need to have a show reel that doesn't have breakdancing. I don't want to be hired for
Jesus.
breakdancing.
There
There's a couple of clips in here that,
I like that
that
one.
I still like and want to use. Like this commercial was cool. I still like those clips.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But yeah, there's a few
That's
things.
like just my Saturday.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to have something water related in there.
Nice.
But yeah, there's definitely
Free running.
yeah. I don't know,
Boom.
I tried to have like my show reel fairly like grouped with all the skills, and I don't know, like I don't know how most coordinators feel, but when I watch people's show reels and it keeps cutting back between like fully different skills and films, and like you think you've watched a fight scene and then it moves on and then it comes back to that fight scene 30 seconds later, it's like
Yeah, what is going on?
so
Yeah.
I try to have like my reel all fairly like lumped together with certain things, but yeah.
Cool. So now it's been how many years since you qualified for British Stunt Register?
I got graded here in 2018.
2018,
November.
and then you also got on the. It's not a register in Australia, but what is it called?
I just got graded.
You
Just
got
got my
graded.
stunt grading.
Yeah, stunt grading, and then you got there on. When was that?
2010.
2010.
Yeah.
And you're here in UK because it's just we have more prettier girls here, right? Yeah. So for those who don't know, UK is the capital of the stunt kind of film industry in general. It's just
At the moment.
At the moment, yeah. But it's been like that for last how many years?
For a while, but everything goes in waves. You know, like Hollywood has had its day, and now Hollywood is super quiet. And
Why
it's
do you think is that? Like, why? Like, I want to hear your opinion. Why do you think Hollywood is quiet?
It's a mixture of things, dude. Like, at the end of the day, most of the decisions from studios come down to money. Like, it's cheaper to do stuff out here, and you know, like, part of that is the crew rates. Part of that is the location offset tax, or like the tax incentive. It's got different names depending on which country you're in. But basically, like, a country might offer 25% of a production's costs back to them as an incentive to come over. So they're like, hey, come and do your film here and we'll give you 25% back of your budget.
Is that what is going on in the UK, you think?
Yeah, UK is about 25%. There's
Really?
a lot of countries that are 30%. Australia's one is 16.5%, which really doesn't help. So back in the days of like Matrix, I think the tax incentive was around 25-30%. And then some genius in the government came along and decided that it should be 16.5%. And that just boned Australia for like a lot of productions.
Really?
Just decided it wasn't worth going there.
Because one of the reasons why I thought that there's a lot of productions in UK because of the crews, because of the like really good teams.
Yeah, for sure. But like Hollywood has all of that. Hollywood would for sure have tons of really skilled crew members, and you know, obviously a lot of good performers and stuff like that. But it's just if the tax incentive isn't right, and yeah, like if they've priced themselves out of their own game, or you know, like if it's just heaps cheaper and just as good to do it somewhere else, then they're always going to do that. Like, it's all about money.
I found Stunt Reel 2012.
Oh God, not my 12.
How come you have it still online?
I don't know.
Oh, it's still sick stuff. It's mainly free running here.
Yeah, at the start.
Yeah, and then there's going to be some awesome fights.
No, there's not going to be awesome fights.
Let's not show that. Okay, and stunt stuff. I mean, there's so many different things about stunt industry in general. Like, what are the things what you like to do the most as a performer?
Creature work is one thing I really like and want to do more of. You know, like, I don't particularly fancy the stunt coordinator or head stunt rigger kind of path. Maybe I'll change my mind at some point, but
you want to be a performer till you're 95.
Maybe not 95, but something like that. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, I want to keep my focus on stunt performing for as long as I can, and gradually sort of maybe branch out into acting a little bit more here and there. And also, like, yeah, all the creature performing stuff in prosthetics and stuff like that. Like, you know, like, I'm a flexible dude. I can move in weird ways, and, you know, that works well for creature stuff. And
you're just a weird dude.
And that. And, you know, like, the live show puppetry stuff that I've done as well, like, that really helped with Detective Pikachu doing...
Where's that? Charizard?
I think it was there. I think you just sort of missed it.
What is it?
Go
This
down.
one?
No.
This one? No, this one.
That's Gengar's Blastoise.
Anyway, so
that
for
same-
those who want to know what is going on, is basically Mike Snow was doing a puppetry for a character called Charizard.
Yeah, sort of like puppetry / green suit performing. Kind of did a bit of a mix. Somewhere I was just puppeteering like a VFX head that they used for sort of lighting and texture references. And then other times I was like, embodying Charizard, so just playing him sort of as myself. Yeah, this scene was sick, man. This was 10 days in Leavesden Studios. I actually doubled this guy as well, or they wanted me to double
DJ,
him.
yeah, I remember
the
you told me
DJ,
that.
and then it ended up not really happening. But so I was pretty much just doing the
So Ryan Reynolds was doing voice for Pikachu.
yeah, but he wasn't on set for any of this. They had a guy being his voice double, and he was literally like
Just saying.
either to the side of camera or fully offset. And Justice Smith, I'll just pause it for a sec. So this guy, Justice Smith, would have like a little in-ear monitor and could hear this guy.
Obviously, because he needs to react on what is going on.
So you've got dudes physically puppeteering Pikachu in front of camera, and they're not doing the voice; they're just doing the puppetry.
Yeah.
And then you've got Cornelius off camera in Justice's ear doing all the dialogue, or just like audibly, like just speaking it out. They kind of did a mix of both.
Because obviously you need that. You need to have a reaction towards.
You got to have something
it's
to
so
react to.
so difficult, and you can see that in some older films back in the days when they had like the first like animation meets movies. And you see that like even the eye line is messed up. They're not looking in a proper place.
Yeah.
So where's the character? So that's why, and some people don't have idea why. How does it work? So you have these green, suited people with also the sometimes with that ball, what they call them, the silver ball. But that's for reference.
That's just for reference at the end
Yeah.
usually.
But then they would just have like a green character and wearing a. In this case, it was just wearing the hat where the head would be, of the character, right?
Yeah. So for Charizard, I had like a helmet with some sticks coming off it. I mean, Charizard's not particularly tall. He's like a bit taller than me. So they had these sticks and lights on there to sort of represent his head. But most of what I did was actually, it ended up being just puppeteering the head. And it was good because it weighed like 18 kilos. So like the pace that you would sort of run at this thing with, and like the gravity and the weight that gave you worked pretty well for his character. Because Charizard's obviously a big chunky boy.
Yeah.
He's not going to be super like nimble on his feet. So puppeteering that actually worked really well.
You do look like him a little bit. Also, like ginger, you have like the
Big orange dude.
Yeah, big orange dude.
Same teeth and
Clumsy.
yeah.
Doesn't come
This
across
guy
as
was
a nice
awesome.
person.
the trainer for Charizard, he was rad.
What's
his
the
name was
actor's name?
Omar something, Chaparro, I think.
Sick.
And yeah, man, this was fun. Like we dragged him around on a big tail and smacked him with another tail. It was just this big green stick, and yeah,
Smacked with a big green stick.
yeah, my job
baby.
on one of the days was literally to just smack Justice Smith in the chest with this giant green stick.
Yay. And then that. Wait. Wait. Hey, too late, but whatever.
Yeah. No, this scene was sick, man. So even though like everything you do gets completely animated over and lost to a degree, it helps everyone else do their job better. Like, from the lead actors to the extras, if they all have a consistent thing to look at and react to, and someone's giving it some energy, then they have a much easier time.
One of the films what I definitely was you can see the lack of that was Space Jam.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God!
The technology at the time,
the technology.
made it so
but
hard.
For that time, I mean, technology was amazing. Like they did, it was revolutionary.
Oh yeah, but he would have been acting to nothing. Same with like Scooby Doo. They would sometimes they just hang like a tennis ball on a string, if that, and so that he had like a consistent eye line, but it wouldn't be moving. It wouldn't be puppeteered or anything. But I remember an interview with Rowan Atkinson saying how hard it is to talk to like Scooby Doo when there's nothing there.
Yeah. It's like here, like you can see, like here, even like Jordan's eyes, like whether they should be like looking actually at that character,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, where is he looking? Yeah, it's quite interesting. And as you know, when I saw it first time, I thought it was amazing. So I didn't really care about that. But
I'd be
afterwards,
very
you kind of start
surprised
paying attention.
if there weren't a few sort of VFX suited puppeteers working on the new Space Jam.
There's Space Jam 2.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like, I'd be surprised if in the new one there isn't a bunch of dudes, or like, you know, one or two who were just full-time puppeteers in green suits, just with like.
Well, in that one, they also had the green suit puppeteers, and that says our segment 2 coming to the end. I don't know why did I put the alarm on it. Listen, time is flying with you talking. We still have so many things to cover, but let's finish this second segment with a little bit of music. Yay!
Yeah.
Oots. There you go. So now we have this camera. So I'm wearing the sunnies because Mike is so freaking white. No.
I wouldn't want to burn out your retinas.
Yeah. And is it a thing you can get a moonburn?
Yeah, if I stay out like all night, then yeah, just get a little bit pink, you know.
Are you actually for real? No. I actually once choked on dry nuts.
This is one of those ones where context is very important.
I wanted to see your reaction. I was leaving my place in a rush, and I was getting out. I just grabbed I thought I'll just snack on some nuts, and I grabbed a full hand of like these dry nuts, and I just chucked them in my mouth and like kind of chewed them. And as I was swallowing, they're just so dry and get stuck in my throat, and I'm right outside the house, and that's it. I couldn't breathe. And thank God I had a bottle of water and just kind of got some water and then it got down. I was like, I would just die here with these dry nuts. Crazy.
Let's scrap that entire fucking section.
No, we're not. That's going to be the best. We're going to feature it. Look at this. This is the Mocap Outfit. For those who don't know how Mocap outfits look like, they're usually quite warm and people sweat butts in them.
That's a good thing about Mocap though, is that you stay warm. And, you know, like on other sets in less ideal costumes, like where it's uncomfortable or like it's just a cold costume and you're out in the elements, the worst thing on set is like warming up and cooling down. A mocap suit, like you tend to do a lot more through the day, and then the suit keeps you warm. So even if you have like a hectic day on set, your body doesn't.
I was sweating my butt off. Like usually studios are hot.
That's better than being freezing.
Yeah, but if you're freezing, you can do push-ups and get warm. If you're sweating, there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
Okay, that's mocap. What are we? We talking about stunts, and
there's a little bit of Ninja Warrior stuff in there.
Yeah, we're gonna have all Ninja Warrior separate segment because you are the man in that area.
Nah.
Scary stuff, like that's what the people usually ask. Any close calls with stunts except choking on dry donuts? Like, what is the craziest thing you ever experienced?
The most hectic thing that ever happened on set, man.
I swallow this donut.
I almost choked to death eating a donut. Not chewing enough.
Wow.
Nah, like if anything is like really dodgy on set, like. Let me start that again. If anything is super like gnarly on set, then the precautions going into it should be so thorough. You know, like it's really rare these days that accidents happen on set.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good thing. Like you can count kind of the number of high profile accidents or deaths or like super bad close calls that have happened in the last few years. I
would say like the one which I got closest for getting injured was the wire work, and I hear that as well. I know some guys in Star Wars when they did some wire works, like when they get these like very aggressive jerks, and your body as a performer, it doesn't matter how strong you are, what kind of abilities you have, you just get thrown around as a piece of meat. And then I know some guys like pull their legs, pull their like the certain like ligaments, and for me it was like I was chucked into this wall, so I would be rotating, like doing like spinning, and I would fly into this concrete wall, and I couldn't do anything, and my leg would just smash against the wall in a certain position, so I almost like.
Sometimes you're just a passenger, and there's like only a limited degree of control that you have on how you end up hitting the deck or an object.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have like a fair bit of control depending on the rig, but yeah, other times you're fully just like a passenger, and it's kind of just up to you to like take it, really.
Hope for the best.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, cool. Listen, stunts, awesome. Let's talk about Ninja Warrior. Oh my God, look at this.
That's got nothing to do with Ninja Warrior.
Look at that face. Jesus Christ.
Hey man, it's a good looking base.
Yeah.
That expression was completely justified.
He's so all about this. Ninja Warrior. That is something what also you kind of, you know, pretty famous or well known because of Ninja Warrior. I mean, you get quite a lot of followers from that, I presume, mainly. Ninja Warrior
a couple, but like I don't push the social media stuff anywhere near as much as some of the other competitors who've built a pretty big profile out of that.
Well, but you're still doing pretty well. Okay, how you want to start this? Give me the first experience and first reason and idea why did you want to get into Ninja Warrior? And that was the first one was in Australia, wasn't it?
Yeah, so my intro to Ninja Warrior was just watching bits of it on YouTube from some of like the Ninja Warrior American seasons from like, I don't know, 8 years ago, I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of watching it and thinking that it looked awesome and that I could probably do a lot of it. And yeah, just deciding like as soon as there was word of the Aussie season kicking off, I was like, I'm going to do that. And then, yeah, luckily I got cast on it and I've been cast in every season since. And I did the last 2 seasons of the UK one, which I don't think is going to get renewed, but hopefully it will one day. But for now, Ninja Warrior UK is done, but Australian Ninja Warrior is thriving. So that's pretty sick. And yeah, man, it'd be sick to go and compete in the US one day. Like they have like USA versus the world. And other European countries do what they call a 4-nation special. So they bring a few countries together and do a few different challenges and courses and see which country comes out on top. So it'd be pretty rad to represent Australia in either America or one of the European shows. But yeah, man, just kind of, I've been pretty lucky to not have to make any big decisions between stunt work and ninja. Like things have lined up pretty well so far, and hopefully that continues to happen. Otherwise, like I probably will choose ninja over stunt work unless it was like the sickest stunt job ever that you just like couldn't say no to.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like film and TV is always going to be a thing, but Ninja Warrior will have its day. Like the bubble will burst.
And also like that build up, it's, you know, it's about a year building up for this Ninja Warrior run and this competition. For stunts, you can, you know, you didn't get this job, you can get the next job or whatever. Obviously, as you say, like if it's something really super specific and you've been hired for like 3 months and it just kind of unfortunately clashed with the ninja, then you probably were like, okay, so I don't really have an option.
Yeah, it sort of depends on what it would be.
Yeah, but, I like this video. This video is very, very important, and there's a couple of reasons for it.
Over in London.
This is how he's introducing himself.
TV commercials in Melbourne. Oh, dude, this music is horrendous, isn't it? I do kind of wonder what happens in the editing room when they're doing this. I don't know.
Oh, but this is the best.
Who's this guy? Look at... Yeah, now I know why you're bringing this up. Look at this dude I was training with one day. What a savage. He's got one elbow pad and one knee pad.
And this actually made to like Australian television, right?
Yeah, that was aired to over 1 million households.
That is me. I just smacked Mike Snow in a bollocks.
Dude.
I'm so proud. Oh, where did it go?
Hey, this move's cool. This is Kevin Bull, one of the sort of main competitors in America. Ah, you lost it.
Oh, awesome. I just, it's all about you, honey. I don't care about other performers. And that was the intro. It was so funny.
And they like go to the audio. They even kept in your laugh.
My laugh was just ridiculously like, what the hell is it? It's like...
So, falling over and getting beaten up a lot. But...
What was that? That was awesome.
That was just ridiculous.
I couldn't even do that vocal if I tried.
Did you had anyone like saying, giving comments about, it's like, what the hell was that?
No. I think people just kind of went, all right.
Okay. Just this weirdo comes over and kicks you in the balls. Okay.
No one's asked if my nuts are okay.
So it's UK, Australia. Then also what you did in Germany, you were working on developing or just testing the Ninja
yeah,
Warrior run?
doing the rigging and a lot of the resets of the obstacles. A little bit of testing, but most of the testing was for stuff that I already like competed on in Australia. There's a lot of crossover with some of the obstacles, but yeah, most of the time was just rigging and making sure that the course worked and getting it ready for the next competitor. So it's pretty long days on set doing that, but it's sick, man. Like the German competitors are pretty elite. They're super good dudes, and yeah, they'd give the Aussies a good run for their money. So
Nice.
I hope we get like a Four Nation special kind of deal in Australia, and yeah, if that's ever going to happen, I'll definitely be chatting to the producers and trying to nudge them towards getting a German team
Did you
over.
do any other countries? So
I rigged on Israel as well.
Oh, Israel as well.
Yeah.
And for those who struggle to understand, what does it mean rigging? So
So building the course and installing the obstacles, pretty
Yeah.
much. And then during the show, there's a lot of obstacles with moving components, and yeah, they just need to be reset.
and that's a trade what you have also what you use for stunts for stunt industry or film industry, and like rigging in general. It's I mean it's
a pretty broad field.
It's broad field, but at the same time they do need riggers a lot, and it's a really good area for you in case if there's not much work as a performer, so you can go and do rigging, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good thing to sort of have in your pocket that you can jump into and do as well. Yeah, I mean, like, there's so many, like I said, it's a broad field. Like, the term rigging itself, there's a million different directions you can go, whether you're talking about, like, you know, steel rigging for buildings and construction, or, like, underwater rigging. Then, you know, stunt rigging is a big field just in itself, you know, with everything from winches and ratchets to hand pulls and climbing. Like, there's a lot you can do with it. And yeah, like, I'm useless in the terms of, you know, winches and ratchets kind of world.
But you're good
But
with
as
hand pulls.
yeah, but as a as a climber and sort of a hand pull operator, that's where I'm more useful. So
Yeah.
a hand pull, for people who don't know, is literally you've got a line connected to a performer. That line bounces up into the roof through some pulleys, and then it connects to a big fat rope that you hold. And usually for like a big pull, you jump off a ladder or a scissor lift. Your body weight motivates them up into the air, and then sometimes you land them, sometimes you don't. If you do land them, then as they come down, you get launched back up into the air, and then you let go and just sort of drop down and land yourself without the use of a wire. So
There you go. This is a little example we found. So someone is running and
So that
that
guy-
was the dead man,
that was
but
the
this
dead man,
this
so
one
it's
is
just-
hand pull.
yeah, so that's probably
Yeah.
it's literally a shotgun pull. It's living up to its name.
Yeah.
So that's just dudes doing a direct pull. No overhead rigging, most likely on that one. That's just someone off camera.
Oh yeah, what you're talking about is more there is actually a rigged construction, and then you jumped from height and just to pull them up.
Generally, yeah. Like, if you want to fly someone up into the air, then usually you need to be either in a studio with a grid, a steel grid over your head, or a truss grid that you've built, or, you know, they can use machines to put like a solid point up in the air with some truss and other structural stuff, and that can be adjustable. You can kind of like steer.
I don't want to show off, but I just want to show, like, because my stunt show reel
Yeah,
starts
there you
with,
go. You can
with
see
that.
the hand pullers.
Yeah, boom. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see two guys here on the right, and that's me. This is the in the practice it was fine, but then when we filmed, I over rotated and smacked my knee against that wall and almost broke my leg.
Yeah.
And even here you can see with the sound effects, the way it sound is quite interesting. So I had a massive whiplash in my head there.
Did you?
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
This point.
So, like, if that needed to be flown with way more height and distance, then those riggers would start getting onto ladders,
Yeah.
and you'd start really getting pinged up.
Well,
and
that guy
across.
was on the right. He was up. He was up. Now you can't really see it, but he jumped off of the top. He was
Oh, did
yeah. Anyways,
Yep.
Okay, so that's with you with the rigging. Yeah, we went off track with Ninja Warrior. So what was the last time now you did your run?
So the most recent Ninja was Aussie Season 5. So I flew out of London, start of Feb, did my 2 weeks hotel quarantine, had 10 days out in the world, staying with a friend of mine, and then once production started, then I was put up in a hotel with all the other ninjas, and we, that's Season 3.
That's the, didn't come up, Season 5.
Yeah, you might need to put in a year.
Oh, okay. 2020, yeah, or 2021? No, 2020. 21. So
yeah,
you actually did it this year?
Yeah, we shot it a couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's recent as.
Wait, is the one where you get disqualified?
Actually, no, you know what? They didn't put it on YouTube. They're sort of doing it a bit differently. So that's why all the sort of older stuff is coming up.
Anyways, anyone who wants to look it up, Mike Snow on YouTube. This is the same video for some reason I'm opening again and again. But yeah, Ninja Warrior stuff is insane and it's a lot of fun. And for you, is it more like, I just want to pass this challenge, I want to challenge myself? Because you train pretty much all year round to compete and...
Oh, not quite. Like, I mean, I train all year round in general, but my focuses sort of vary a bit. And like at the moment, you know, like a bit of bouldering it indirectly helps with... Well, it directly helps with Ninja Warrior, but only like one small portion of what you need for Ninja. So I'm just sort of bouldering at the moment, in general, just because I like it.
And it's beneficial for you, obviously, upper body
yeah,
strength.
like it helps for Ninja, but the only way to really train for Ninja is to kind of do stuff that replicates the intensity of being on the course, where you just have like no breaks and you just start pumping through obstacles. Because when you get to those final stages, like it is horrendous on your cardio. When you've got to beat the clock and not be resting between obstacles. So yeah, I kind of try to save that for sort of 5 to 6 months of being out from competing, because it's just horrible to train. Like it's the worst aspect of the training is doing cardio for this. So there's no way, like I'd go insane, I'd get bored of it, and I would end up not training as well if I trained that aspect of it all year round.
Oh, here you go. I have a good question for you. So for Ninja Warrior, what are the best areas to train in? So you are covering free running, you're covering bouldering, cliff climbing, so some elements of gymnastics. What else do you think, and what do you think is the best combination? Because obviously one of the greatest things is to actually go on obstacles and practice. There's some places where you can have these obstacles, but the thing with Ninja Warrior, almost every time is going to be different and original. And
yeah, the obstacles vary a bit, and each year we get some new obstacles, but a lot of them in some ways are just variations of each other, and the core principles still apply between a lot of them. So pretty much like if you can swing on a static object and you can swing on a moving object, then you've got a lot of obstacles covered just with that. So then you need to start looking at your grip strength. Can you hang on for a certain amount of time and, you know, get back onto something without much rest and keep on hanging on? And then can you still lift yourself and pull at the end of that? And, you know, like, can you hit a mini tramp well? Because there's always mini tramps, and they're like sort of big boy mini tramps, which the lighter people tend to struggle with. So if you can swing well and you can hold on for a long time, like you don't have to be a gymnast, but if you were a gymnast, then you understand how to swing. You would have an advantage, yeah. If you're a gymnast, you can understand how to swing on static objects, and from there you can work out the moving ones pretty easily. If you're a climber, then you've probably got all the grip strength and the pulling stuff sorted, but maybe you need to learn how to move. Like Magnus Mitbo is, I think, Norwegian dude, and he's competed in American Ninja Warrior, and he's a freak of a rock climber. Like he is insanely strong, but he has, if he wants to do some more Ninja Warrior stuff, which I think he's done that. I don't think he was particularly into it, but if he wanted to really pursue that, then he would need to work on his movement skills a little bit more, because a lache from one thing to another is kind of what ended his run in Ninja Warrior. So it's like
And
You- you-
lache, that's a move again for gymnasts and free runners. Free runners do a lot of laches, especially
Yeah.
if they train inside the jumping bars to bars.
Yeah, so
stuff.
lâcher is literally, I think, French for release.
Oh,
So
okay.
it generally means just to swing, let go, and then catch something. A lâcher on its own would typically be from one bar to another, but yeah, you could have lâcher to precision, so landing on a precise point, or lâcher to arm jump where you grab something. There's heaps of different variations, so just trying to sort of like mix up as many of those variations as you can so that you're used to doing weird angles and 180s and like reverse, like blind catches and mixed grip and stuff like that.
But as a base, probably the most beneficial is to do climbing, is it? Because I think a couple of years ago or a while ago there was an American guy who won and he was like this super crazy climber.
Oh, is that Colgiero?
I
Yeah,
think
like
so,
he was a top level climber, but he definitely put in some time and effort into learning to move well.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
climbing wouldn't on its own really have taught him.
Yeah. So,
So
variation.
you can't crush Ninja Warrior just with being awesome at one skill set. Like at some point, if you're a mad specialist, like you have to branch off a little bit so that you can at least kind of get away with some obstacles that aren't really suited to you.
Okay, I want to do a quick thing. I want to. So which one should I open? Your run, and I want you to comment it and tell me what you guys.
Maybe go on my Insta and go to one of the newer ones. So to go up the top, they're all kind of linked together. So there's interview ones there. Go further down. Yeah. So now you've got my runs.
So
Go.
is it this one?
That's the Power Tail race. That one's cool. That's short. That one I think is the semi-finals. Yeah, you go that semi-final video.
Semi-final. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
What did you do there on your stomach?
That was me versus rock pool and a wave.
And rock pool win.
The waves and the rock pool. Those logs don't spin a whole lot. They could have been set to be more sort of free spinny, but they were kind of nice to us and didn't give us like the most rolly option. Some people really like it. It stuffs them up to actually think about what steps they're going to do where before they do it. They just kind of need to hit it and just let their feet do whatever. I'm pretty particular with which foot I start and finish with and sort of where I place everything. So just before I go, you can actually see me kind of talking to myself. I'm saying left, right, because I just wanted to make sure I did my first stride on one of those poles with my left foot because I just feel better about the placement of that and then finishing on the left foot because
cool.
it was 5 logs. So I don't know, everyone has their own sort of different little things and
Who are
preferences.
these two guys?
So that's Jesse on the right, who I stayed with. He's a stunty, and his housemate Sean, who I only met when I was staying with Jesse. And Sean's just electric. He's got so much energy.
Oh,
and
nice.
He was loving it. He was mad to have along. And what ruins a lot of people's runs on the sort of Big Dipper obstacles is if they go 2 hands forward grip, because the bar can roll. So if you stuff up your lâcher, it just peels out from your hands. So a lot of us go for mixed grip, and that just steadies the bar, stops it rolling. But then it's such a like quick transition. It's not very far between one Big Dipper and the other. You don't really have a whole lot of time. If you like the mixed grip on the first bar, you don't really have a whole lot of time to then sort of get your hand under and find that mixed grip when you're flying to the second bar. So most of us went mixed grip into forward grip, and then just squeeze it and don't let it roll, and just kind of try to position your body so that you're always swinging down with an arch that you can sort of like kick your lower body forward with for the next thing. So yeah, that was a super fun obstacle. This obstacle is a bit naff. We've had that in like the earlier seasons. It's only really there to just kind of like slow you down and burn you out a little bit. It's not technically very hard. It's just a little bit awkward, and depending on how much you use like your ankles instead of like your calves, or how much you use your hands instead of your forearms, is just going to determine how burnt out you get. So you can see I'm like really wrapping like whole forearm over, as much of my leg over, I know one dude was trying to go really fast and he just beasted it all on his arms. And as I was watching that, I was like, bro,
And he
what are you
burned
doing?
it out.
Yeah, he burnt out further on the course. He was having a super good run, but that was one decision where it's like...
Where's your mom? Is your mom right?
She was Skyping in from home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she didn't want to...
Because this run, where was it?
It was shot in Sydney.
In Sydney.
Yeah, she didn't want to risk getting stuck in Sydney if then just a corkscrew in the middle, and then it didn't destroy everyone's run and splash them out. A few people went in, and then they're like, all right, now we got somewhere to go from here, and then they sort of crank up the difficulty in the next round. And yeah, that's a super fun one. I want that obstacle to keep coming back.
How does it feel when you have support from the audience? Does it help you at all when everyone's clapping and shouting and supporting, or are you so in the zone that you don't really care anymore?
Mostly so in the zone that you don't even notice them, and like they'll be super loud, and sometimes you can have people screaming advice at you, or like whether they're out in the stands or whether they're right next to you, and it just goes in one ear and out the next.
Yeah,
you don't even notice. And then other times when you actively kind of like slow down and acknowledge them, and you're like, oh, this is sick. And obviously you notice them a lot when you go out and go to the start platform and everyone's going wild and you can hear the commentators talking, and that's like, it's kind of cool, but it's also the worst thing about the whole experience is just standing at the start line for what feels like 10 minutes when it might be 30 seconds or 2 minutes, not knowing when you get...
That's sick, man. Yeah,
I was
here you go, hey. Fantastic, well done. Like someone who was out there wants to be a ninja warrior, and some out there who would like to do skydiving or do become a stunt performer. So what are the things you follow, and what are the things you could suggest other people to kind of look into and pay attention to? Quite a big one. Start with stuff that works for you and what you do.
I guess if you had to sort of like summarize sort of my blueprint, as you put it, or kind of where I'm at and what I'm focusing on and what my priorities are. On the most selfish level, it's pretty much like do awesome things in awesome places with awesome people. That's kind of, for what's going to make me happy and what I want to personally do with my time. That's kind of what it comes down to. And so, like my career, it makes sense for those kind of purposes, and everything I do for fun, like skydiving and eventually base or other stuff like that. That's all a big part of it. On a non-selfish scale, try to just help people to learn about themselves in constructive ways that can help them achieve what they want to do, and just kind of put ideas out there with different attitudes on things, and just just good ways to get things done that you want to do that are important to you.
And that makes sense as well for you.
You just see so many people like holding themselves back with negative attitudes, and like a lot of that just comes down to the really small things that you tell yourself every day. And it sounds super lame, but like positive thinking and just trying to cut out words like can't, like people say, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's like, you're not able to right now, but it doesn't mean you're incapable of doing that. So stop saying that you can't do things. Just, things like that. And I've always found with teaching parkour, like getting people to overcome their fears is one of the most satisfying things for me. And just, I don't know, I just love the psychology of that. And I'm going on a super weird tangent now with your question, but I don't know, I just find that kind of stuff fascinating, and helping people break down things that are kind of limiting them, whether it's with a physical practice or just with anything. I don't know. I find all that really interesting.
That's awesome. I think that is fantastic. Any suggestions for up and coming and want to be like Mike Snow?
Don't.
Just or just do what you just said, be open and don't say just don't try not to be negative, and I can't. And the thing is, like in the stunt industry, in particular, like when we need to do our disciplines, and there's very often you start doing something, like for example, for me the biggest problem was swimming. Like my swimming was horrible, and I started swimming, and it was like, there's no way I'm gonna pass this test. This is just impossible. And then, but I maintain training, and kind of like, maybe, and then 2 months later, I'm actually beating some time, so I'm actually doing it, getting better. And the same thing when I trained with you, like doing some, free running parkour, and you jump from one place to another. It's like, there's no way I can jump that far. But then you're like,
but you would be able to with a systematic approach.
Exactly, and this is what I'm talking about. And this is like these baby steps. Like, do the baby steps, do the homework, little by little, and eventually you're gonna progress. And that's what I learned a lot about learning new skills, and
Sometimes, like, when I'm teaching people, and not even like the scary stuff, but just like basic techniques of parkour, and you show them like a progression that is so basic and so lame and boring to do. And it's like, trust me, just do this a bunch of times, and then they do it like twice, and then they go back to like just chucking the move they want to learn and not getting anywhere. And it's like, no, dude, for real, like, do these progressions and just accept that it sucks and isn't like the fun thing you want to be doing, and just like go through that system and build up progressively, and you will get to being able to do the skill that
it's like Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. But why am I doing this? I want to fight. No, you need to do wax on, wax off.
Pretty much.
Listen to what I'm saying. Well, I think on this happy note, dude, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. We did some climbing stuff, and me and Mike, anytime we meet up, we do some training, do some gymnastics. Sometimes I smack him in the balls. Why not? Because that's gonna make for Australian television.
We need to think of our next one for season 6.
Yeah, exactly. What could we do? Naked. Jumped up the bridge from 10 meters. We could do that. There was like, I remember I was posting some videos me doing cold water swims, and one of the stunt coordinators like, oh, this is too boring, man, come on. And the next thing I did naked backflip from 5 meters bridge.
I remember that one, yeah.
And then I posted it, and then he's like, yeah, that's what better. I'm talking about. Dude, listen, let's do the little music and everything, and oosh, thank you so much, my man.
No wuckers, man.
Little dance, man. Little dance. Oots, oots,
I'm
oots.
so not a dancer. I'm just going to sit here being lame.
I will just do my own. Sick.